black-footed ferret is one of the most endangered mammals in the United States. It has a current population of approximately 200 active breeding adult ferrets in the wild. But in 1979, the black-footed ferret was declared extinct. So how did the black-footed ferret go from being extinct to having a relatively active population today? Well, in 1981, a rancher discovered a mysterious dead animal on his front porch. He took the animal to a taxidermist to get stuffed, and thus when it was discovered, it was a black-footed ferret. So researchers and conservationists came out to his land to do research and found that this population of black-footed ferrets was thriving. However, by 1986, the population had been struck by disease and had gone from 129 ferrets to just 18. So the scientists did something radical. They captured the last 18 ferrets in existence and started a captive breeding program. And from those 18 ferrets, they have had massive success. They have over 30 reintroduction sites over its 12 historic states that it lived in, as well as Canada and Mexico. So what is a black-footed ferret? A black-footed ferret is a weasel-like creature with distinctive mask and black feet. And the difference between a black-footed ferret and the one you will see in a pet store is mostly the pet stores are very social creatures, and the black-footed ferrets are very singular. They live on their own and they're nocturnal. Black-footed ferrets are carnivores that feed mostly off of prairie dogs. And each ferret can eat around 100 prairie dogs each a year. So what threatens black-footed ferrets today? Well, ranchers and farmers consider prairie dogs a nuisance, so they poison them, which often leads to the downfall of ferret populations because they have nothing to feed on. Next, the sylvatic plague, which if contracted by both prairie dogs or ferrets is 90% fatal. The disease travels by fleas and can wipe out entire prairie dog towns. So what are we doing to stop it? A vaccine was developed, and ferrets get vaccinated prior to release, and they've created a bait form of vaccine that they lay out in disease-prone areas to try and minimize the outbreaks. There's also a form of pesticide dusting that they do to try and kill off the fleas in populations where they notice a disease is starting to spread. So, what can we do to save black-footed ferrets? Well, there are several organizations that work with trying to reintroduce the ferrets and create thriving populations to downlist or even delist them off the endangered species list. Now, the criteria for downlisting, which is to move it up from like endangered to thriving or to threatened to vulnerable, is to have at least 1,500 active breeding adults and have reintroduction sites in 6 out of the 12 states, as well as 247,000 acres of prairie dog inhabited land. Now, to delist, which is to completely remove it off of the endangered species list, the criteria is 3,000 breeding adults in 9 of 12 states and 494,000 acres of prairie dogs. So in order to try and accomplish that, we need to write legislators to try and save prairie dogs, really. With no prairie dogs, there will be no ferrets. You can also work with nonprofits such as the Defenders of Wildlife and World Wildlife Fund, where you can adopt a ferret and stay informed on what is currently affecting the wildlife. As one of the most endangered mammals that live in the United States, we owe it to the black-footed ferret to try and save it. Only 40 years ago, we thought the black-footed ferret was extinct, and I wish never to see that again. With research and dedication, we can save these animals and completely remove them off the endangered species list. Thank you.